Thank you, dear Reverend Prince Fleet Easton. God is here. Have no fear. I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know what? It's the truth. Remember, fear knocked at the door. Love answered. Faith answered. Behold, no one was there. No one was there, because fear is the life and the energy that we put into it. In the Aladdin Factor, in the book, Jack Canfield said that, and we always hear that fear is false evidence appearing real. And he had in the book fantasized evidence appearing real, right? Fantasized, right? And false or fantasized. We know that, yes, there are certain facts in the universe. And out of those facts that show up, we can give our power away to it. We can, we can build a case of negativity, or we can acknowledge it is a fact, but not a spiritual reality. And with that's Minnie. Someone is passing by, so I've shared with you energetically that this is the Rose of Sharron Sanctuary, and people pass by with their dogs or whatever, and so you know what? We draw the larger circle and we include that, remember? And that whatever happens in our life, this is why I love our way of life, is that we draw the larger circle, we include whatever that is in our experience. If it's a barking dog in the middle of our presentation, if it's some sort of a bill that we didn't expect, if it's our car breaking down, we bless everything, we draw the larger circle, and we include that. And as we include these energies in our circle of life, our circle expands amazingly. And you heard Joan of Angel talk about the gates that Aladdin needed to pass through so that he could come out on the other side. And I thought it was interesting that the genie said, Aladdin, you can take your magic carpet with you and your lamp for illumination. So we know that sometimes the best means of transportation is a leap of faith. And when we take that leap of faith and we go beyond where we've ever gone before, our universe expands, it unfolds. It's amazing how this happens. And then once we reach that revolution, and remember, life is a spiral. So with each new revolution of change, there's disorientation, there's feelings of insecurity, and we're not quite clear on it. And once we make the revolution to the next level, it's like we've always been there, isn't it? Wow, here we are. I'm taking my magic carpet ride to a higher level. I'm acknowledging at the very deepest level within me, at a DNA cellular level, that I'm going to step on that magic carpet and I'm going to go to places I've never gone before. So that first gate is what? It's realize that you create your fears. And when we realize that we create our fears, something begins to happen inside of us. And we begin to look with discerning eyes. We begin to acknowledge that we are in the world, but of a higher vibratory frequency. We call it in our way of life, our new thought way of life, Christ consciousness. We call it the Buddha nature. We call it the holy I am presence, that when Moses looked into the burning bush and said, who are you? What are you? The voice of I am answered, cast off your shoes, for where you stand is holy ground. In other words, there is nothing and no thing that comes between us and our spiritual knowingness. And when there is, that's ego. That's the little fear stuff that comes in, and we get these insecurities, especially financial insecurities. As a female in the world, I grew up with the energy, money doesn't grow on trees, my mother always said, but you know what? It did. Because my mother, who had me on her 19th birthday, and she was a young mother, and she was the prettiest mother. I was always so proud of her. And she married an alcoholic, and you know my story. So every Christmas, it was really interesting. Every Christmas, my father would take off on a binge, and there'd be no food in the house, there'd be no money, there would be nothing. And my mother would go and she would negotiate with the grocer. And in those days, we called it the little store. They would give credit until my father came back from his binge and could go in, and working. And my father was very talented. He was an artist. He was very sensitive. He came back from World War II very, very damaged. And he began to work for Disney as an animator, and they didn't take kindly to him showing up drunk or not showing up at all. So what happened is they let him go. So to be raised in this family, my mother, who was very, very resourceful, she would look around, and we had 6 walnut trees on our half-acre of property. And she hired immigrant workers. And many here sitting here know this story, that we would fill the gunny sacks full of walnuts from these 6 walnut trees. And she would make like $500 every Christmas. So she would spend it all on Christmas. So when my mother would say, money doesn't grow on trees, I would say, yes, it does, Mom. Look at all these walnuts. Look what you do. Look what you've done. I mean, even as a little girl of 10 years old, I could see that her resourcefulness, and looking at what is it that we have. So we have to, when we acknowledge that we can be into the fear, and my husband's an alcoholic and I have no food in the house and all of this, we can be devastated, or we can say, hey, let's see. I've got 6 walnut trees. I've got 2 little girls. I can hire immigrant workers. They called them shakers, where they'd shake the walnuts. And I grew up in the San Fernando Valley when it was nothing but orange groves and walnut trees, walnut orchards, and an occasional tomato field where we would go out, and there's nothing like a wonderful, beautiful tomato from the vine, is there? And so as we look at our programming and the acknowledgement that the first gate that Aladdin had to pass through was to realize that he created his own fears. So when we put that foot on the magic carpet, we take that leap of faith. We go where we've never gone before. We feel the fear and we do it anyway, right? We feel that energy within us. And we open the space to allow God to do what God does best by means of each and every one of us. We are the experience God is having, and it can be a great one. We're going to let our light so shine before the world that they see who we are and glorify something greater within us that is illuminating the way. It is the magic lamp within us that is illuminating the way. Now, the second gate was to analyze our fears, to look at them, not to give them power, but just to look at it. We've got bills, we've got things coming in. Some of us have health issues. But what we know is that there is an energy within us that is greater than the energy that we are fearing. And that this body temple really, at a DNA cellular level, arises to the perfection that we were created in the image and likeness of God. That our body is the temple of the living God, of which and through whom which we do such a good work. And tomorrow will be my 20th radiation treatment, and I will be complete with my radiation treatments from skin cancer. And a few years ago, I had a very traumatic experience with the Mohs surgery. I want you to know that I Googled, and I shared this Wednesday night, and I credited our dear Mystic Kay. She said, I get on and I go to Uncle Google and I get my answers. And what I did is I put on Uncle Google, what is the alternative to Mohs surgery? And it came up radiation therapy. So I go and they, of course, armor me up. And as they're armoring me up, that verse in the Bible, put on the whole armor of light. And as we put on the whole armor of light, 21 seconds it takes for this radiation. And I have it covered up, of course, because even at almost 77, there is some vanity there that I want to look my very best and present, my very best in the 45 years of being in the ministry. But it's just like a little red blotch. That's it. It doesn't hurt. It's not, there's no downtime. There's no cutting on my face. Like I had 6-hour surgery before because of this. And then, as I shared in my Wednesday night live presentation, we have to ask ourselves when these things come up, what am I pretending not to know? What am I pretending not to know that I do know? And for me, cancer, and even this is the lesser cancer of any of the cancers, the very lesser, is the probable psychological cause in mind for cancer is deep emotional hurt and disappointment. So as we look at our lives and we allow these things to surface up, then we can heal them. Then we can release them to their native nothingness from whence they came. We've all got a journey and a story, don't we? Some of our journeys are just, I feel, outrageous. They're incredible. I never use the word incredible or unbelievable unless it's negative. And if it's a negative situation, I will say unbelievable or incredible. If it's a fabulous situation, I say amazing, because I'm into conscious languaging and I've been teaching it for 45 years, that we want our words, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be accepted and received. And so we want it to be the highest vibratory frequency. So when something wonderful happens, it's amazing, it's wonderful. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. When it's negative, unbelievable, incredible, right? Because the truth of us is that we are created in the image and likeness of God, and we know that it is good and it is very good. So as we analyze our fears and we realize it's the energy we're putting into it, and that we can put that same energy into something that works for us and something that's wonderful, something that's going to be an acknowledgement to the whole world, to the planet, because I believe they also serve who only stand and wait. Think about it. Those that are knowing the truth, that are sending out the light, they are not getting caught up in the things of this world, but are transformed by the renewing of their mind. So we are about taking that magic carpet ride and taking our magic lamp of illumination with us, because we've made the leap of faith to the next level. Now, the third gate, remember, was use positive self-talk, which I have been talking about this morning. Use conscious language. Be in awareness is what I say, forwarding and advancing the planet, each other, and ourselves. And as we start to say something negative, we can just cancel it, return it to its native nothingness from whence it came. And what I love about our way of life is we take ourselves out of the law of averages. Think about it. Taking ourselves out of the law of averages and placing ourselves within the law of individual selection. And what that means is it's not a status quo for me. It's going to the next level. And when Jesus said, if I be lifted up from the earth, I draw all men unto me. I draw all good unto me. I draw all the miracles unto me. If I be lifted up from the earth, from this energy down here, if I be lifted up, I draw the energy of the miraculous unto me. And of course, the fourth gate was to feel the fear and to do it anyway. We've all felt the fear. There's a labyrinth of fear that we walk through. And actually, a labyrinth is a very spiritual component to our walk. A maze, those of us that get caught up at times in the maze of life don't realize that at the center of the labyrinth is Christ consciousness. It's the holy Buddha nature. It's the I am presence. And we light a candle, don't we? And as we light a candle at the center of the labyrinth, it's illuminating. The magic lamp illuminates. And everything that does not serve, everything and anything that does not serve returns to its native nothingness from whence it came. Because we're not going to give it life. We're not going to give it energy. We're going to open the space to allow God to do what God does best. We're going to draw the larger circle and include whatever has come up in our experience. And as we include that, then there's solutions. There's unfoldment. There's the recognition that when I'm getting that radiation treatment, my last of 20 tomorrow, I always go into a spiritual mantra. And as he's saying, okay, I'm going to begin, I go into that which needs to be healed is healed, that which needs to be revealed is revealed, that which needs to be known is known, and that which needs to be released is released quickly, gently, and with grace. And by that time, beep, it's over with. It's completely over. It's done with. So I just, for each and every one of us, that these very interesting times that we're living in, it really is an opportunity. And it really is a choice that we have, how we're going to deal with our daily life, which is our temple and our religion. And that as things come up, they come up for us to address. They bubble up and they bubble out if they don't serve. But they have served at a greater level. Because what? What have we learned? What did Thoreau say? Failure has a scientific value. A good learner wouldn't miss it. In fact, I saw a darling cartoon in the New York, it was in the New Yorker, and had a guy interviewing for a job. He said, well, I have no formal education, but I have a long list of all the mistakes I've made and will learn from. Yeah, I'd hire him. If he's got a long list of mistakes that he's learned from, he won't repeat them, will he? So interestingly enough, when we see with the spiritual eye and we see through these appearances, and we know that they are facts, but not spiritual realities, that when Dr. Ernest Holmes said that we must maintain an aggressive, positive mental attitude in the truth. And he added consistent. So we must maintain an aggressive, positive, consistent mental attitude in the truth. And as we maintain that aggressive, positive, consistent attitude in the truth, it becomes who we are. It's second nature. So when stuff comes up, we don't give our power away to it. We just acknowledge it. We deal with it. We come out on the other side. And we have conquered the labyrinth of fear, haven't we? That we have an opportunity every single day of our lives to open to the space that allows us to know we're a vehicle, we're instruments. And when St. Francis said, make me an instrument of thy peace, and where there is hatred, let me sow love, and where there is injury, pardon, and where there is sickness, there is health. And grant that I, so much don't want to be acknowledged as to acknowledge that everyone in my energy field is there by divine appointment. We're here by divine appointment. So today, as we move past the fear into the faith, as we acknowledge the opportunity that we have, let's make a commitment this week that when these things come up and they bubble up, that we just address them. Thank you for sharing. And I just let go and let God do what God does best by means of me, because it's come up to teach me something. And I am such a good learner, right? I am such a good learner. And that I take it into the heart, and I acknowledge the power, the presence, the energy here in the midst of us. And that makes all the difference. So on this amazing day where we've come together, we're all on a journey and we're all going somewhere. And where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. For I am in a high place and I will not come down. None of these outer things move me. I am in a high place and I will not come down. I say namaste. The God in me salutes the God in you, and the God in you salutes the God in me. And if I am in that place in me and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. Namaste. Shalom. The peace that passes all understanding. And God bless us, everyone. And so it is, and so it shall be. Thank you, thank you. And